All right guys, I got an exciting video today. I'm gonna use the Ronin SC with my Canon 80D, and I'm gonna use two lenses. I'm gonna first balance it with the 10 to 22 millimeter lens, which is wide angle lens, is kind of big. And then I have over here my 24 millimeter lens, which is a lot smaller, kind of a pancake lens. And this will be great because we can just put it on and I think we'll have a lot more flexibility. I'm gonna start out with the Canon 80D, and then I'm gonna put the Canon EOS R. So we see a traditional DSLR camera with the Ronin SC, and then we're gonna see a mirrorless camera with the Ronin SC and see how they compare. Now I'm gonna first start out with this wind muff on top because I like having the wind muff on top to get the audio, and it seems to balance pretty fine, just how it is right now. Okay, I can turn it around, no problem balancing it, seems perfectly fine. Now I'm gonna walk around and see how it holds up. Okay, so we're just gonna go like this. Okay, so one thing I noticed with a traditional DSLR and this wind muff, since it is kind of a lot of weight, it's kind of big, especially top heavy, especially this wind muff on top kind of throws it off a little bit. So you have to have everything set up before you turn it on. If I turn it on and then I like flip this camera this way or vice versa, or try to go in there and make a setting and mess with it, the Ronin S is gonna start to shake. All right, so you make sure that you're all set up before you start shooting, and then you'll be good. All right, and so now I'm gonna start to shoot. Okay, and I'm just shooting at 17 millimeters right now. Just walking normal. All right, walking normal back and forth. Try not to trip. All right, now I'm gonna demonstrate. We're just gonna go up and down. So I'm just gonna go up and down with it. So you can only go so far because it hits the mic right there. So when I move it, even now it's a little straining. See how it's starting to shake? So it's really tough with a DSLR in this type of setup. Let me just stop recording right now, turn it off for a second. Now let me try it. Let me take this off. Now I removed the wind muff, so this should be a lot better. One thing about the Ronins, the bigger the camera, I would say try to balance it as perfect as you can before you turn it on. With a mirrorless or a smaller camera, you don't have to balance perfect. Just get it close and then you can turn it on. I didn't even balance it that great with this DSLR and it's still working pretty well. So like I said before, I'm at 17 millimeters right now. I'm going to just start recording. I don't have the wind muff on now. And we have the 10 to 22 millimeter lens shooting at 17 millimeters. So let's begin. Now I'm holding on the trigger, moving forward, just traditional how I'd film normally. And it looks pretty good. It's very bumpy here. There's a lot of leaves, twigs, and things like that. So keep that in mind. Now, if I were to move it down, let's see, I can move it all the way down now. I can move it all the way down, all the way up. It's nice and smooth. Now, if I want to do it real cinematic, going up, real cinematic. All right, and even if I want to move it fast, all right, it's really good. So as far as I can see, with a smaller DSLR like a Canon 80D, and you know, not a huge lens, a 10 to 22, it's fairly decent sized lens, as you can see, but it's not a humongous lens. Okay, it's not a pancake lens like my other lens. So compared to the 24 millimeter lens, obviously this is going to have a little more trouble, but it seemed pretty good. Everything seemed really good. So now let's put on the pancake lens and let's see if there's any difference. All right, if you don't balance it perfectly, it's going to start jumping like this. All right, with this small lens, for whatever reason, having a really hard time balancing it. I couldn't do it with the wind muff on. All right, that was kind of crazy. It took me forever to balance this small pancake lens. I don't know why it was so difficult to balance, but the much bigger lens was a lot easier. So it could be me. I'm not sure if it was me or whatever, but got it to balance finally. I'm not going to try it with the mic because it seemed impossible just to balance it as it is, but finally got it to balance. So now that we have it balanced, let's test it out. So I'm just walking with it normal. All right, this is a 24mm lens. Of course, it's a crop sensor, so 24mm lens. I'm walking kind of fast, but even when I walk, it seems very steady. Seems more steady than the other one. All right, now let's move it down. When I move it down, all right, seems a lot smoother. Could be just in my mind, but seems a lot smoother. Now going up nice and cinematic. All right guys, so I think this smaller lens was a lot smoother. We have to look at the footage. It's getting kind of noisy around here. People are coming out in the park. They're like weed whacking and cutting the lawn. So I think it's time to go to a different location, and we're gonna use the mirrorless camera, the Canon EOS R, to test it out with the Ronin SC and see how it compares to this DSLR. So let's go there right now. So now I have the EOS R on my camera, the mirrorless camera. So as you can see, fits on there nice. Now it's really difficult to balance it with this wind muff, with this microphone on. So I suggest, if you can, don't use this microphone. It's putting more pressure on the gimbal. I thought the Ronin SC would be better than it is with this mic, because with the Ronin S I had no problem balancing with this mic on, but with the Ronin SC, this mic causes a lot of issues. It's very difficult. Or if you just leave this setup and I don't change the lens, then maybe you could do that. But it's still, as you can see, I can only bring it down. Let me just move it. Well, actually, not too bad. I can bring it down to there, but I can't bring it to full flashlight mode. So, and then I can't go underslung, certainly. So it has its limitations on how far I can bring it down and move it. But let's try it out right now. All right, so I'm just filming normal. Just gonna walk back and forth with the mirrorless. This is the Ronin SC. This is the Canon EOS R. Okay, Canon EOS R, Ronin SC, just walking back and forth. Move to 17 like it has before. All right, just walking normal. All right, and again, there's twigs and things on the ground, so now I'm gonna move it up and down. Okay, I can only move it like that far. All right, so when I move it, it's very limited. Okay. Now I'm gonna try to take off this mic and try to do it without this mic on. Now if I just remove this mic like this, it actually stayed balanced. Wow, I'm impressed. Okay, so maybe with the mirrorless as opposed to the DSLR, when I took off that mic, it didn't affect it as much. I don't know. Maybe I just balanced it perfectly, but I just took off that mic and it seems okay. So now let me just try it. It feels better in my hands. Without that mic on, it just feels a lot better with both cameras. Now we're gonna try to go all the way down, and we can go all the way down, no problem. Okay, and then we can go all the way up. So we can go in underslung mode. Nice and cinematic. Yeah, so this seems really good. All right, I'm gonna stop it. Let me try to run with it. I'm gonna try to run with the mirrorless and just see how that looks. All right, there's a little bounce to it. I don't think it's quite as sturdy as the Ronin S. Still not that bad. This lens doesn't have image stabilization on it either. I just want to do one more thing before I put the pancake lens on. I'm just going to show you what it looks like in vlogging mode, okay? Because this is a 10 to 22 millimeter lens, and a lot of people want to use it for a vlog. Okay, so this is what it looks like vlogging, and I could even widen my lens a little bit, okay? And this is with the adapter on, and it has a pretty good field of view. I mean, for vlogging, I'm getting a little tired, but if I pull my arm in close, my elbow rested against here, it's not too bad. And let me just walk around and I'll show you how it looks, okay? All right. Just vlogging normal, okay? So this is me just talking to the camera, seeing how it looks. Not worried about my exposure now. I know I'm kind of overexposed. You can see, now I'm holding it with two hands. It's jiggling a little bit, but you know, if I walk a little smoother, that also helps too. But overall, it's not too bad. Vlogging with this, now I'm using one hand. I could see myself vlogging with this. I just gotta get used to it, gotta practice a little bit, but it's actually not too bad. Okay, so you can definitely vlog with it. I would suggest you hold it like this, put your elbow in. I don't think there's much difference, honestly, vlogging with this mirrorless camera and the 80D, because the 80D is a small DSLR, and this is a pretty weighty mirrorless camera. It's pretty robust. It's got the same grip size as basically the 80D. So if you had a really bigger DSLR, I think you're gonna have to go with the Ronin S. I don't think it's really gonna work with this, especially if you want a mic on top. And for vlogging, you're not gonna be able to hold it out here the whole time unless you're really in shape. I think you gotta tuck your elbow in, but you can get used to it. And if you use a wide angle lens like I have, it's not too bad. Okay, so now I'm gonna put the pancake lens on, and I'm not gonna put the wind muff on because I didn't do it with the DSLR either. And it's really hard to balance it with that pancake lens for whatever reason. I think it just throws it. It's like top heavy, it goes this way or that way. So I'm gonna use it without the wind muff and we're gonna test it out. All right guys, so now I have the pancake lens on, and it's a great lens because it's got great out of focus blur and so forth, but it's really close to my face. I'm holding, as you can see now, I'm holding it about a foot and a half from my face, and you can see the distance it's at, okay? So I could sort of vlog with this, but it sort of looks weird. My face is way too zoomed in, all right? I have to almost hold it like this, full length, arm stretched out. With my arm stretched out, as you can see right now, it's not a bad length, but you can't really vlog like this. So the 24 millimeter lens, at least in 4K, it's not gonna work with this. All right guys, so since this is not really a vlogging style lens, I'm not gonna vlog with it, but I will show you how it looks just shooting normal. So let's just turn it around. Okay, let's turn the screen around and start recording. Now I'm just holding it normal, walking normal, okay. This lens looks great. It looks definitely better than my other lens. Definitely sharper, better out of focus blur. Okay, now easy to go down to with this lens. This is a breeze. So this lens is perfect for the Ronin SC. With the mirrorless, this is the perfect setup, okay? So the Ronin SC is not gonna make your filmmaking instantly 1000% better. You have to practice with it. It does improve your filmmaking right off the bat though. I will say that, the Ronin S or the Ronin SC, it's really nice to use, especially with this mirrorless camera. I think works better than the DSLR. You can use it, and surprisingly, even with the bigger lens and DSLR and this wind muff, it does work. But I would suggest you use a lav mic, or if you're gonna use this wind muff, you know, you really got to take your time and balance it as perfect as you can, because I notice when using this wind muff, the Ronin SC, it heats up, so it gets kind of hot. So I know I'm putting stress on the gimbal, and over time that's probably not good for the gimbal, and it can cause like balancing issues and things like that. So I want to wrap this video up by saying the Ronin SC, you can use with smaller DSLRs like the Canon 80D. I think a bigger DSLR, I would have had trouble, especially with the wind muff and some bigger lenses. This lens I use, 10 to 22 millimeter lens, even with this adapter, works fine. Now this is a bigger mirrorless camera. It weighs about close to 1.5 pounds. So with the adapter and the lens, it protrudes out a lot, but the Ronin SC didn't have much problem with it. But I do notice a big difference between this and the Ronin S. The Ronin S is a beast. It can handle a DSLR, the wind muff, no problem. Whereas this guy, really got to balance it perfectly, and going up and down with a bigger a DSLR and this wind muff puts a lot of strain on it. I can see it getting hot, and it's probably not good for the gimbal over the long term. The one advantage though of the Ronin SC is that you can vlog with it. The Ronin S, to me, is just too big. It was too heavy to vlog with. I could sort of do it, but not really. It's not really that practical. This thing is great for anybody who wants to travel, anyone who wants to vlog and get smooth footage, and anyone who has a mirrorless camera. If you have a smaller DSLR or a normal size DSLR with a smaller lens, you can definitely use with the Ronin SC. And that's about it, guys. Hope you found this video helpful. If you did, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't done so, please subscribe to my channel. I'm Rick Aramella with rickaramella.com. Drones for real.